Okay, 2.54. Arjuna Vacha Stita Pragnascha Kabasha Samadhistasya Keshava Stitadi Kim Prabhasyeta Kim Masita Vrajeta Kim. Arjuna said, O Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? Stita Pragna. Ka Bhasha. How does he speak? What is his language? How does he sit? How does he walk? So Krishna, at the end of 53rd verse, he says that one will be, he says one would have attained divine consciousness. So now Arjuna is inquisitive, saying that who is this person in divine consciousness? How do I know him? What are his symptoms? How does he speak? How does he sit? How does he walk? Purport. As there are symptoms for each and every man in terms of his particular situation, similarly, one who is Krishna conscious has his particular nature, talking, walking, thinking, feeling, etc. So which means that if we are Krishna conscious, then our behavior has to be like that of a Krishna conscious person. We cannot say I am chanting and then we do things like somebody who is non-Krishna conscious. Of course, initially, we might have the willingness to do, but we might not yet be able to follow everything, which is okay. But as we progress in Krishna consciousness, we have to become more and more conscious about our own actions, thoughts, not just actions, even thoughts, right? Because thoughts subsequently convert into action. So if we have not so good thoughts, then they'll convert into not so good actions subsequently. So we should be always conscious, introspective about what we are thinking, feeling, what we are saying, what we are doing, everything. It has to be as is expected from a devotee of Krishna. As a rich man has his symptoms by which he is known as a rich man, a deceased man has his symptoms by which he is known as deceased, learned man has his symptoms. So a man in transcendental consciousness of Krishna has specific symptoms. In various dealings, one can know his specific symptoms from the Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna also talks about this extensively in verse 12, where he's talking about who's dear to him. So which are basically qualities that a devotee needs to develop. Most important is how the man in Krishna consciousness speaks. For speech is the most important quality of any man. Now this is very important. Unfortunately, our speech is engaged in asat. Asat. Asat means the non-permanent, which means things belonging to this material world. We are working, we have conversations where we are always talking about asat. While we might have to talk about asat, we should not get too engaged in it. We should not get too absorbed in it. Because speech is the quality of any man. Now, if we speak just like a non-Krishna conscious person, then what is the difference between us and that person? It is said that a fool is undiscovered as long as he does not speak, and certainly a well-dressed fool cannot be identified unless he speaks. But as soon as he speaks, he reveals himself at once. Of course, here fool means one is really who is a fool, and the other is people who pretend to be knowing things, but actually they speak like fools, because somebody who's materially engaged, when he talks, he only talks about I, me, mine, self-centered view of this world. The immediate symptom of a Krishna conscious man is that he speaks only of Krishna and matters relating to him. So this is very important. A Krishna conscious person speaks only of Krishna and of matters relating to him. other systems then automatically follow. So this is what we should attempt. At least, to start with, when we are working, we should say, okay, at least before going to work and after coming back from work, or after I finish my work, I should speak only matters related to Krishna. And Saturday, Sunday, I should only speak matters related to Krishna. Right? Then slowly during the day, then we should say, okay, if I'm working for 8 hours, maybe can I do 1 hour without speaking nonsense? So can I reduce that 8 hours to 7 hours? Can I reduce that further, etc. Right? And we speak only if absolutely required at work. Now this is important because otherwise we just keep engaged in the matters of this non-permanent world, and the more we are engaged in these matters, the more our mind is engaged in those. Vishaya chadiya kabe shuddha hobe man. Vishaya. So this Vishaya, these material things related to this material world have to be gradually given up. When we are doing duty, we should do, but we should not be attached. That's the point I'm making. And we should not, sometimes in the name of, okay, if I don't speak, or if I don't do extra work, if I'm not proactive, my performance will get affected, this, that, these are all material considerations, right? But the real consideration has to be that of thinking about Krishna or speaking about Krishna, right? So this is very important. Okay. Anybody has any questions? Okay. Verse 55.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, this becomes very difficult, like when we are working or dealing with, right, because we are not with devotees, most of the time we need to mingle with these people and socialize, and some help may be required here and there. And then is it like just we need to try to maximum extent to try to avoid unnecessary talk, or because so many of the times with non-devotees, definitely all so it's interesting, exciting, it's all temporary only. Without talking, we may not have any relations at all.
Yeah, I mean, without talking, again, see, without talking doesn't mean that we don't open our mouth at all. We might talk, but we are not engaged. We are not connected to them. We are not associating with them. We don't subscribe to their thought process. We should be very strong. See, otherwise what will happen is we engage in these conversations and we get affected by their thought process. Right? Or we keep thinking about, oh, okay, see, this looks so nice. And, if you're not strong enough, we get pulled towards their viewpoint, right? Or way of life. So if we are very strong, then we will speak like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das Goswami wants to come out of his work first. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells him, no, don't come out of your work. You be there, just act like a materialistic person, but you are absolutely not connected at all to it, to things. Now, this might be difficult to practice, but see, if we want to be in this material world, we should practice this. Otherwise, we will lose Krishna consciousness. So we have to decide what is important for us. If material things are important, then we get engaged in that. Otherwise, we just do as like, Padma Patra Ivambasa, like, or in next verse, Krishna says that, like a tortoise, you just engage and pull back your senses when it is not required, right? So see, we have to engage with this material world. It's not like we will cut off from this world, right? But we should not associate with them. We should not subscribe to the mundane thought process, because we've lived all these years, right? And only now we come to know that, okay, Krishna consciousness is superior. If we know that Krishna consciousness is superior, then why would we want to engage in lower this one? So it's just obligatory to whatever extent it is absolutely required to that extent. Of course, we will not be rude to people. We will not like unnecessarily harass people, or we just we just try as much as possible to be nice and cordial, but just as much as it is required, not more. That is the whole point, right? So we don't have to socialize. I think that's a very important thought process, right? We don't socialize with them. Socialize means what? Like we go out, we sit and eat with them, drink with them. That is socialize. We don't socialize. We just we are just in contact with them to whatever extent required, because we don't want to get affected by their thought process.
Okay, bro. Yeah,
So
understood. Like, just we need to keep contact as much required. Not
yeah,
no need
yeah,
to entertain more. See,
yeah.
suppose someone
So
calls some old friend.
huh,
We have to talk politely. No, just how you are at this and don't engage too much into so many things
yeah,
for
yeah,
half an hour
absolutely.
or.
Yeah, I mean today, like for example, if some of my old friends call, first thing is I start with Hare Krishna. So they are forced to switch their context, as in they know that okay, this guy is not going to talk about some nonsense, right? Uh, from the greeting itself, it's clear what is going to be the nature of conversation. Then subsequently, also when they are okay, how are things? How are then? I will say directly yes, okay, engage in Krishna consciousness. So I will not hold myself back from talking about Krishna in the name of thinking, saying, oh, you see, if he's called after so many days, if I talk about this, what will you think? No, I mean, let him also hear about Krishna. He will also get purified, right? Whoever that person is.
So
And
we
then,
no
yeah,
need to hide
yeah,
this. Like we
absolutely
are
no need
talking.
to hide, right? But if he's talking about, what, my work is like this, there's so much of pressure, then you empathize. Yeah, I understand it's very difficult, this Corona days. That's it, right? Like, and then we say, yeah, I'm also struggling, but, since I do chanting, it helps me. So then, if we are living a Krishna conscious life, then we can help others understand, saying, yes, real problems in life can be actually addressed by Krishna consciousness. But if we, and that way, you never know, maybe somebody might be attracted, saying that, oh, is it? Okay, why don't I also try? Right? But even if it doesn't happen that way, but let them understand, saying that the solution to all things is Krishna consciousness and it's working in my life. That's the important message, right? Whether they like it, whether they accept it or not is their problem, right? If they accept, then it's good for them. Otherwise, bad luck. But by holding back, we are actually doing this disservice to them, right? Because we are not telling them the reality.
Yes,
So
bro.
we should be fixed in our sadhana, and then we should let others know, saying, yeah, I also used to experience all this many years back, but thankfully somehow by, Lord's mercy, I'm engaged in this chanting process and it really helps me, right? And people will understand, oh, okay, spiritual practice is helping, which is good, which is what it is.
Yes, bro. Yeah, this is a good point, bro. Because many times I hold back. I don't reveal that I'm into this, and then these conversations will go on. They will be keep talking other things whenever they. If we reveal ourselves, right, they will decide whether they have to continue relation with us
Yeah,
or
that is
not.
one. And then they will also talk. So, for example, somebody talks about, okay, you know what, you saw this in the news. And we should,
Mm.
yeah, news, you know what, I mean, I just feel it's the same thing again and again. So I don't
Yeah,
really
yeah.
read so much. But anyway, so what was it? What was the news about? So, so we are giving the message that we want to give, but we are also engaging in the conversation. So
Yes,
slowly and
yes.
steadily, we are dragging that person into a Krishna conscious conversation. Then he will say, like, this thing happened. Now, obviously, for everything that is there, there is Krishna conscious connection, right? So there is no way that we cannot not talk about not be Krishna conscious if we are really Krishna conscious. Then even if
Yes,
somebody
bro.
says something else, we can't talk about anything else but about what we have heard from Srila Prabhupada in his books, which obviously address. See, we are not trying to be artificial, or we are not trying to cheat somebody or anything like that, right? I mean, this is what Prabhupada is addressing in his books, saying the social situation is so bad, the situation in this world is so bad that the only solution is Krishna consciousness. And any conversation with anybody will obviously end up in this only, right? So we have to tell them, saying that, hey, boss, this is correct. what you're undergoing is understandable, but the solution is Krishna consciousness. We don't have to tell them in so many words, but that is a message we need to drive, because that is how we are preaching, and more importantly, that person will be benefited beyond anything else.
Yes, Prabhu, this is very practical. Like if we connect everything with Krishna consciousness, right, in our conversations naturally, then it will be beneficial for everyone.
Yeah, it will be
Just
beneficial for
hiding
us
it
also,
and
because
yeah,
we'll also become more Krishna conscious, saying that, oh, okay, and this is right, See, and one thing I keep telling every time, right? So please preach in whatever way, please preach, because see, when we preach, actually, it reinforces our own understanding. We actually become more convinced than we are, which we might not be practicing actually. But when we say like this, say, oh, we start reflecting, oh, this is right. When this situation comes, actually, this is how it should be, because this is what Prabhupada is saying.
yes,
So, it's very important that the message gets reinforced in our own minds, saying, oh, yeah, Krishna consciousness is the only way. There's no other way. Right? That's important.
Okay, bro. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.